computer. Hey, Angel.
Hello.
Nice to see you. I'm feeling a bit nervous. This is my second live of the day, and so because I needed to make a special occasion because you're on the road there in South Dakota in your magical sanctuary bus. So thanks for taking some time to come and join me on my Phoenix in Quarantine show today.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. And so I just want to give a little bit of context because most of my friends here in Australia wouldn't know who you are, but um, I was introduced to you by a dear sister of mine and a dear sister of yours as well. And when I went to America. And so for all of those posts that I was putting about going into ceremony and heading up to the Catskills, I was going to visit this brother and his community there and working on the land and prayer. And I just feel like it's like this integration time and this quarantine show of like really reflecting on my time in the States and the lessons that I learned and the healing journey that I've been on wouldn't be complete if I didn't include you, Angel, because yeah, you were such a pivotal part of my experience in the States and such a like literally such a sanctuary to go to in the midst of my grieving, to have a place to go and be held in my grief and be held in my prayers. And so I just want to honor you and thank you and honor the wild web, as we know, the wild web of connections that brought us brought us together. Um,
That was a wide one, this one.
yeah, a very, very, very wide one, and I'm sure we can might touch upon some of the wildness. So I just would love to offer you an opportunity to share. Yeah, like I don't know how this goes. It's just we just see where we go. Though this a lot of the questions I've been asking people on this show has been, what are some of the struggles and the and the insights and the lessons that you've been receiving during this COVID quarantine lockdown time. And I know you've been doing some really deep work there on the land. And I would love you to share some of the prayers you've been weaving and some of the lessons you've been learning and some of the struggles you've been meeting as well, if you're open to that.
Yeah, sure. Let me go for it. Um, yeah, I guess, it started really for me as my own sanctuary, trying to escape the city, New York City, where I was walking and found this land, or this land found me, I think, or called me back. And yeah, started living there part-time and then full-time, and started working with plant medicine and starting, offering those ways and those prayers to people, and many, many years of connecting to that land and listening to it. And finally, at some point, the sanctuary was born. We built a temple and starting kind of deepening our prayer there. And in the last year, really before, in fact, COVID, my prayer for 2020 was community. And so I put that prayer early January, before any of this pandemic happened. And somehow, I guess because we were all in isolations and all looking for connections, this community really took shape. First online, because more people join online. Second, because I could not travel to Peru anymore twice a year to run the retreats I usually run there and do the event that we usually do. And I think over the spring and the summer, starting to get people outside on the land because we meet safely. And the prayer has deepened, and I can see how it's shaping now. I mean, for me, it's been just a blessing to be on the land for so long, not moving at all, and listening more deeply. And it's always this weaving, for me, that's really important. How do I weave my own prayer with the prayer of the land, the prayer of the community, the prayer of the people that connect there, and trying to find the right balance with giving some directions, but also letting it be influenced by all the people that come, including you, when you came, and, every person bring their own prayer. And for me in ceremony, all those prayer nourish me. And therefore my prayer keeps evolving from the prayer of the people that comes, and my own prayer wherever I am. So yeah, I guess right now the prayer is in a good place. That's how I feel about it. um yeah, I feel good about it. I feel good, and I'm glad, we had this prayer in place for so many years now, because it's in times like now that I realize how important it was to have this deep foundation, and really felt quite good, through the whole pandemic and still now. Uh, yeah, I feel good that was in place, and I know why it was in place, and I can see now how it's serving even more in time of great turning, as our elders are calling it, this great turning we're into, or great disruption, uh, of our structures that are in place. But those prayers are so ancient and so old, they can completely find their place in the modern world, especially in a world that is the one we're living in right now, that is so chaotic and, yeah, so confused, so much separation, so many things that are present there. This prayer is like these lightnings that keep going straight into what's important. And it's beautiful to see how it's holding the space for us, for me, for you, for everybody. um, so I'm staying behind that big prayer. I'm praying, but I'm staying behind that big prayer and just watching it, and still listening a lot to make sure, it shape itself with the world, with the community, uh, and that we get to act, to create through what we're hearing. And yeah, it's been such a blessing, such a
Yeah,
blessing.
hearing you hearing you say, yeah, staying behind the prayer, it's something I've been sharing a lot because I feel like that was probably one of the greatest reminders that I received in coming to sit and pray with you. The some of the teachings that you so generously shared with me around the altar and the medicine and the prayer, which, as you know, I've told you many times that it's been an answer to my prayer coming to the sanctuary and being surrounded by such devoted brothers and sisters who are committed to doing their inner work and working with the medicine. And yeah, I feel like this remembering that we are we are here to be behind the prayer, never ahead of the prayer, like never getting too ahead of ourselves, because that's the ego that gets ahead of ourselves. So being really humbled to this prayer, and we never actually, we don't really, we put the prayer out there, but we never really get to control how it manifests.
No, we don't. I mean, to me it's like a bow and arrow. It's I've started learning bow and arrows, uh last year. And when you aim your arrow, which is your prayer, and you aim at where you want it to go, if you a bit, and you need to aim really quite precisely, which is what we need to do with our prayer. We need to be quite precise. But at the moment of letting go the bow and shooting that, you need to relax and close your eyes. You cannot keep your eyes open. So you aim it, and then you close your eyes, you breathe, and you let it go. So there's this beautiful metaphor for the prayer. For me, it's the same, because if my prayer is too tight, if I keep my eyes open and I try to control it, the arrow is not going to aim where I want it. But somehow, if I relax my body and if I surrender, kind of trust, closing my eyes, I give space to something bigger to help that prayer go somewhere. So it's very similar.
Yeah, and it is it's such a humbling it's such a humbling journey, this journey of prayer, to really trust in that which is moving through us. Like, I have this prayer, this is the prayer that I'm putting out there. And for me, what I've been like learning or remembering is that this prayer is coming from somewhere. That it's not like just falling from some random occurrence that I have this prayer, that it's actually this prayer that's moving through me, and this continuous surrendering into trust that, like, it's okay to put this prayer out there, whatever it is, because this prayer is it's coming through me to be offered, and to keep on putting it out there. And then even more so, what I've been learning in kind of being with the altar, and the teachings that you've been sharing, is that this prayer that's moving through me is, it's not just my prayer. It's like a prayer that's been prayed for millennia, to so many
Mhm.
ancestors. And I see it as almost like, here I am carrying this torch forward. It's like our ancestors passing the torch to me, or to us, to you, to those of us who are here, to just keep on carrying that prayer forward with trust, like not knowing exactly where it's taking us, but there's this inherent knowing that all I need to do is just keep putting whatever prayer is true to my heart out there, and trusting in that. And that's been a really big journey for me personally. um, Getting out of the way, and just allowing myself to speak my truth, to speak my prayer, to be humbled by the way in which it manifests, which isn't always so like, oh yes, here you go on this beautiful platter with flowers. Like, oh, having to really work, and oftentimes being quite painful, and the way, the very roundabout, twisty, curvy way that prayer manifests, it's just beyond, like, you just can't make this shit up, can you?
You can. And really, the ceremony and this time, when we say prayer, people think, oh, we are in ceremony and we're praying, but really for me, when I say my prayer, I mean my life, the way I live. My real prayer, my bigger prayer, the bigger container, the real ceremony is my life. My whole life is a ceremony. And the way I conduct it, the way I walk, I take every step, that's my prayer. Ceremony is just a reminder. It's a time where I can maybe look at my life and look at what's happening, and reassess it. But really, it's more about my life. And because we're in relations, we're in relations with the lands, with the trees, the animals, our elders, our ancestors, our parents, our communities. Therefore, that prayer is very alive. It's not something we control. It's not just us, because we are in relations. And that's where I think the space for the prayer is needed. Because if I see my prayer, or I just want that, or I want to make money, or I want abundance, or I want that, but how does this fit as me, as an interconnected being? The tree in the forest cannot pray independently, live its own life independently of the other trees, or the soil, or the mushrooms, or the birds, or the sun and the seasons and the waters. It has to align its prayer with everything else. And yet, if it's a pine tree, to make pine cones, that's its own prayer. It's making its own pine cones. It has its own little babies around, and we know the tree is going to feed more its little babies than the other trees first, the other babies of the other pines. And so yes, we have that, little flexibility there. But if we disconnect from the microcosm that around us, these interrelations, this interweaving, then we are in trouble. And I think that's what happened, either because we don't know how to pray, how to live our lives, or because we pray in a way that's very centered into our own needs only. And
Yeah.
then one way or another, we just get disconnected, and it doesn't flow anymore. We don't experience abundance and love and connection.
Yeah, when I hear you say that, especially in the metaphor of the pine tree, the prayer for the pine tree being these pine cones, it's almost this alignment to the fullest expression of itself. And I feel like it's both ends. It's the pine tree, the prayer for the pine tree to be the fullest expression of itself, and the fullest expression of itself amidst the interconnectedness of the full expression of all the other trees in the forest. And that's, I feel, such a beautiful reminder to as a human. Yeah, it's like my prayer for my life and the fullest expression of my life, while also simultaneously being in this interdependent relationship with all of the other uh, full expressions of other humans around me. So it's about me, but it's about other, and it's about, yeah, all of us just anchoring into that unique prayer that we have with the knowing that it's not just one or the other, it's both ends, because we are living, we're together, we're interconnected, interdependent.
Hmm. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and how life, I feel, continues to, yeah, once the more I the more committed I become to the prayer for my life, and to be in right relationship with my prayer and the world around me, it's almost like the more life continues to, like, nudge me and push me and guide me into, it's like if I'm not in alignment, I'll get knocked, there'll be a knock on my door, something will happen that's just like, no, wrong way, come this way. And that deepening into my own alignment with this bigger prayer, that I'm really always where I need to be, even though it doesn't always feel like it. So again, coming to the sanctuary this summer was just like, it was just such like a almost like spirit just taking this hammer and this nail and being like, you are always in the right place at the right time. um, and I want to share briefly for anybody who might be watching that, so where the sanctuary is in Callicoon, New York, is actually the same town that my family and I used to vacation in when I was a little girl. And it was, I left New York when I was 18. I just had such an aversion to New York in general. I just ran as far away as I could from New York, from the United States to Asia to South America, and now to Australia. And then, in my father's passing, it was like this full 360 coming back to my home country, and literally being all of the things that I had accumulated or I have retrieved throughout my life, all of that bringing me literally to sit 5 minutes away from where I used to go as a little girl. And like, you from what, France, or you're from Europe, and like, meeting our mutual sister in Bali, that she's from Australia, that I wouldn't have met had I not been here, and just the crazy interweaving to bring us to that moment right there, where literally it was like, at the time right after my father passed away, it was like just this for my life giving back for my life to the land that literally raised me. And it's just mind blowing. Mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this web is perfect if we could see it from afar, but we never see it fully, completely. And we're like, a tiny insect on it. We don't see the creator that's weaving it, and it's perfect web. And sometimes we get somewhere and we think we're far from something else, or etc. But the creators, is probably laughing, looking at you going to Asia and then going to Australia, and already knowing when you're going to turn around on that web and you can come back there at the right time when you needed it, when you need to reconnect to your roots, to your father passing, and to those moments of grief, and finding this place that you were when you were little. I mean, it's quite magical to think how it happened, and none of it really is something you created or you directed. It just
Yeah.
happened, and that's very, very magical. And So
Yeah.
humbling, so
Yeah.
humbling.
Just really cannot make this stuff up. Just really cannot make this stuff up. And yeah, to really be I'm just gonna tell the lady that keeps calling me about checking if I have any symptoms that she has to call me back. I apologize. I'm on a work call. Can you please call me in an hour? Okay. So I get very upset with them. Do you have any COVID symptoms? No. And they just, anyway, I'm going to breathe. um, yeah, I'm going to just take a moment of pause because I actually want to share what I wanted to share about like what I received in returning. It's like that book, The Alchemist. You know that book by Paulo Coelho, where like he goes on this whole life journey, and at the end of his life journey, he's right back where he started. And it
Yeah,
was
the
like,
door of his home. He opened the door of his home and he found what he's been looking for all around the world.
and
Yes.
that's what I feel like I got to see of what you've created at the sanctuary. For me, is like what I've been. It's the dream of what it is that I want to be a part of. You know, a community of people devoted to prayer, like devoted to listening to the earth and listening to the land and doing this healing and being in reciprocity with the earth and kind of bowing down to this bigger prayer that we are walking behind. And yeah, there's no words to fully express just what, yeah, it's like it's almost like this part of me was completed. You know, it's like I found what it is that I'm looking for. and and of course I'm back. I've returned to Australia because I felt the call inside of me to return here, though it's like I've caught a glimpse of what it is I've been calling in. And just to put it out here now as a amplify this prayer here that I'm here in Australia with you and all of my friends that might be watching it. This is what I want to be part of a healthy functional community working as stewards of the land in ceremony, in prayer, and here, if it's meant to be here in Australia, like, may it be so. I feel like returning to America and witnessing what you all are creating there, what you've created and continue to create there, is almost like giving me the imprint, giving me the codes, giving me the key to now. It's like, I don't know how it happens or what it looks like, but it's here, it's in me, and I'm here now, listening. I'm just like at the feet of whatever the next part of this prayer is. So I just have been so moved and so touched and just feel so grateful to, it's like I've been praying so intently to be part of a community like the one I was so lovingly and generously welcomed into. And I pray that I find that here, or that I'm part of the creation of that here, or somehow it scoops me up wherever it is that I go, wherever it is that I go, wherever it is that I find myself, that I find myself as part of this web. And I think I will, because going to the States was an affirmation that, oh yeah, babe, wherever you go, this is a reflection of your prayer. So yeah, thanks for being the poster, the mirror, by simply doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's when I'm listening to you, it's I think for me, when the pandemic hit, the main message I got from this tiny, tiny, tiny virus, the smallest living things on the planet, it's a virus. It's even much smaller than a cell. Um, and the message was resilience. Preparing for resilience, being really resilient. And when I think of resilience, I ask nature, what is resilience? When I ask the medicine, what is resilience? And nature always answer community,
Yeah.
connection. Like self-resilience really doesn't exist independently of the rest. I mean, you can be a prepper and build a bunker and put a lot of food in it and waters and all of that. in case something happen. But really, true resilience, long-term resilience, it's what native people, people still living the traditional ways, have known for tens of thousands of years.
Mm.
It's a sharing of skills, the sharing of resources, the sharing of songs, the sharing of our own medicines, our own, capacity to help one another. Because there's things I'm good at and there's things I'm really not good at, and there's things that you're really good at that maybe is not I'm not good at. And so I learned, like, during that time, it became so evident for me that this is kind of a reversal we're in, because of climate changing and many things, the collapse of our house of cards of the society that we are in, the political structures, economical structures, and all of that. We can see how fragile it is. The whole world went to a stop, but there's only one species that was disturbed. That's kind of incredible. And in fact, people that live quite resilient on their land, and resilience for me, just living on the lands, basically my life didn't change that much. I could still go outside. I could still, grow my food and all of that. And I realized, even if that would happen, what would it take for me and a community, my family, people I love, my friends, my elders, to be safe, to be healthy, to be taken care of. And that's really relearning all the things that we've lost, to really live from our lands, grow food from our lands, know our local plants, know our local medicines, and all of that. And I think, it's great because we can travel and we can bring medicine from all over the world. But at the end of the day, we need to learn what we can find, what's growing in our backyards. And that's where true resilience will come from. We're looking at the what we call weed in our garden and say, oh my God, this is medicinal. Oh my God, this is very rich in, I don't know, iodine or calcium or potassium. Like, knowing that that plant that grows so abundantly where I live in the Catskill, mullein, is amazing for the lungs and breathing. So knowing that the medicine is right there, very often untouched because nobody's really using it, but those medicine have been just waiting for us to walk in harmony with them. So resilience is always present, but we have this idea that we somehow need to learn it and need to acquire it. But in fact, what we just have to do is very often just look and listen and pick up something and just connect and realize, oh my God, I'm so much blessed by everything that's around me. Everything is in service of me. So my role is to be in service of all that, because the forest is in service of each other. There's not one animal on the planet, not one plant, one river that's not in service of the greater good.
Mm.
And none of them have been disturbed. In fact, they've been quite better because there's less pollution and less noise and less traffic and less of the things that disrupt that connection. So it's like, if you really listen right now, we're like, there's something really much bigger that's happening in the background,
Mm.
and really inviting us to embrace this opportunity of great changes,
Mm.
so we don't have to suffer as much as we do. We don't have to experience what we're experiencing at the moment. um, yeah, and find maybe a better way to
Mm.
live with each other
Mm.
finally again.
Yeah, yeah, like a return. It's a returning. It's a returning to our original blueprint in a sense that we have forgotten. Yeah, and this is why we walk, right? What I've been learning in studying the altar with you is this: we walk this map of life to remember, and then we forget. The shadow of remembering is forgetting. And so how this is such an opportunity right now that we're being given to really remember, to remember our original prayer and remember our original blueprint, and to take this time of pause to really listen more clearly to all of those other reflections around us that that have always been singing their song, and that we were so distracted with the doing that we couldn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are being given, it's a gift that we're being given to be able to really stop and listen so that we can remember, and then we can kind of reintegrate ourselves into this bigger prayer, this bigger song. And yeah, it's a painful, I feel like I watched this documentary. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It's a David Attenborough, and the new documentary with David Attenborough. It's his life, 93 years of being like a, doing all these documentaries on nature. I'll send the link. But what he's shown is that in his lifetime, the amount of destruction that's happened on this earth, and how like we humans have been such a great catalyst for that destruction. It's like we've so forgotten our place in nature. We've been so separate from the rest of the ecosystem that forgetting has caused so much destruction. And now it's time, it's like, to really feel that, to really feel what we've done as a species, and rather than kind of beating ourselves up over it, to actually allow ourselves to repair, to make these repairs, and to come into deep dialogue and deep conversation once again with the more than human world, because it's not just about us. Like, it's not just about us humans. There's so much more.
But the just about us doesn't work. The just about us is clearly not working. So,
Yeah.
and if we believe in a world of scarcity, which we know that our culture is based on, so I need to take and get this before someone else get it, uh, we are going to experience scarcity. And that's what might happen, with water, with food and things like that. But if we look at the abundance of the world and believe in abundance and place ourselves back on that interconnected map, then there is no scarcity.
Mm,
No scarcity.
yeah.
I'm here right now in South Dakota, and those great plains are just so beautiful, and the climate is pretty rough here. So we already have some snow at the moment, and it's very hot in summer and very cold in winter, and so it's a pretty rough environment. But once you look on the ground really closely, you can see so many different plants that are living there, that have been living there for tens of thousands of years, and nobody's coming to water them. Nobody needs to come and do something so it can continue living. There's no scarcity. That plant is in the right place. It has its own purpose. It was put there by the creator, but also it works with what's around, and it's completely safe. It doesn't have to worry
Mm,
about tomorrow, about snow, about too much sun, and but put ourselves outside of that, and we worry about scarce resources, of love, of connections, of everything, money, and it's not really how it works. But we have learned that, at school. We've learned that on TV. We've learned that in our culture, and we came, obviously here to America to take. We went to Africa to take. We just been taking, and nature doesn't do that.
mm,
So we are basically receiving the fruit of that prayer that is not the right prayer, and
mm,
we're just experiencing that, and we just have to shift it to re-experience something very different. It's not inaccessible. It's right there. It's right there.
mm,
But like you said, we have to really slow down for hearing that. We have to be in our bodies. We have to be on the ground. And it doesn't mean going back to cave, to the end of civilization as we know it. Some parts will need to collapse, but some part can, still continue. but there's definitely a deep need for listening, which has been amazing because I guess we've all been stuck at home, and here you are in your hotel room for 2 weeks. I mean, a few more days, but you know, 2 weeks old, and what can you do? You just stay there, and you have to listen. You know, you have to just sit there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I feel pretty complete. I don't have anything else that's like emerging right now though. If you do, there's space if there's something that you want to share before we complete.
No, I feel like so glad. I have to say, I'm very happy that you came. Take refuge on the land, and to me, it's just, yeah, such a blessing to see people like you coming and praying and bringing your beautiful songs and music and love and dance. And the land was happy. You know, the land is happy when this is happening, when people like that are coming, and it's feel more rich, it's feel more alive. And so I feel very, very grateful, you know, that you're part of this family, because we
Mm,
are family now. You know, we're just family. We just remembered it.
yeah.
Um, uh, so I'm very, very grateful for that.
Mm,
And yeah, grateful for all the web that happened to make that happen.
yeah. Yeah. I think at first there was a bit of like, oh, who's this guy? When I first met you, it was such an intimidation, and I'm glad that we had, multiple times to come together and drop the masks and beyond the ego and be around the fire to really kind of pierce through all of the layers of story and drama and whatever may have just kept us from fully being in our hearts in that space together. And I feel like, yeah, around that fire, we're just all family, and that's, yeah, been such a gift. And I do trust that we'll be sitting around that fire again at some point, hopefully, hopefully next summer, sooner than later. Um, as long as this tiny little virus, it's hopefully we'll all receive the gift of resilience so that we might be able to be in deeper connection with our families around the world sooner than later. So
Yeah,
yeah, keep
yeah.
on weaving those prayers, brother, and I know I'll be doing the same. And yeah, I trust that we'll keep on mending our parts of the web to just keep on listening, keep on listening. Yeah, blessings to you on your adventure through the rest of the Badlands into Colorado and beyond.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Much
stay
blessing to you
yeah,
too,
yeah,
sister.
stay safe with that snow there, and I look forward to being in touch with you very soon. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
being here, and I feel
thank
like
you.
now you're woven into my family here and my Australian family here, and yeah, let's keep on weaving this family.
Yeah, I saw some magpie today. I didn't know that was magpie in South Dakota. They are smaller than the one in Australia, but they call magpie. And it was this moment, I was praying at Bear Butte, and this magpie came, and then I saw this sign about it. And it was this moment of connection from the other side of the world. uh you know, it's like just spirit laughing. You know, it's almost like it's these very cheeky birds too, so I think his spirit was just laughing and then showing this greater connection that I had no idea existed. You know, this
Yeah,
one bird came with a tiny connection web
mm,
back to your homeland there. So
yeah,
yeah,
beautiful. Much love to you. Send my love to Timmy. She didn't pass by to show her face, so she's in that caravan. Send her my love, and I'll see you soon, brother. Mm,
thank you,
I love
sister.
you so
Much love.
much. Much
Love you
love.
too. Bye.
Bye.